All right, so this is the first start, actually, rather, a double feature for Friday night because I missed yesterday's. Another episode of R&R, and today we're looking at the article of How Discomfort Reproduces Settler Structures, Moving Beyond Fear and Becoming Imperfect Accomplices by Carroll et al. Now, I did talk about this in a little bit of my Exploration C reflection written up, but I do want to go over this article because this kind of idea addresses a lot of my anxieties when it comes to the teaching system. So this kind of tries to address certain worries and fears and suggests ways that as an educator we can ease into the role and do what we have to in order to become imperfect accomplices. And what this means, an imperfect accomplice, is to be a supportive kind of outside figure, like not a stranger, but one who helps maintain, not maintain, I guess, works to support and works towards inclusive education. So the imperfect accomplice is one who helps but is imperfect because, again, when it comes to indigenous pedagogies, I personally don't identify as indigenous peoples. So, of course, I'm not going to be able to give the most, direct form of education and pedagogy. So the best way I can do this is to always read up on it, do my work, and present it in a way that I understand it and in a way that helps to elevate and revitalize indigenous pedagogies and cultures within a classroom setting, which is the goal of teaching nowadays, at least in, where we are in Canada. So, I know we went over this in class, and I always had a question like, man, if you were to try and push the boundary, like, wouldn't I get into trouble? Like, would I lose my job for it? Is there, like, some disagreements that would happen as a result of me trying to present my understanding of indigenous pedagogies and way to incorporate that into the curriculum? Well, what this article kind of says is just you need to take the chance. You have to go and try it, because if without ever doing it, you'll never take that step forward. So that's really empowering for me to hear from this article. And again, it's a better than just being I can't remember what it was, like the imperfect stranger, I think, or basically a bystander, of one who doesn't, who will see something and not do anything about it. So, here, becoming the imperfect accomplice, this delinking process or ways in which one delinks, refuses these types of knowledge systems, authority, economy, and knowledge, and subjectivity, and race and gender and sexuality is part of a lifelong journey of self-reflection and education. So, the reason why I want to reflect on this one the most, again, as I said at the beginning, it addresses a lot of my anxieties, my fears, and I'm going to go into this as part of the double feature for the next clip, because I don't want to feel this one. This is supposed to be bite-sized. How much time are we at right now? 3 minutes. Okay. So this has a lot of anecdotes of situations where teachers might be afraid to be wrong and present the wrong information, and hence wouldn't really maintain the image of an educator, and amongst other things like fear of being wrong, fear of losing the job, fear of being called out by people or students or peers. Educators didn't want to reproduce stereotypes. Of course, like the idea of how do you educate without being culturally appropriate. It's a fine line, and it does seem still difficult for me to find a way to do it. And like I said, I think in my reflection, you just had to try and take the chance. And when you have the opportunity to do so, you take that shot, right? And that's something I'll be talking about more in the double feature, second part of this. So, this article was really insightful, and it's really empowering, and it's very motivating also to give me the assurance that this is the right thing to be doing. And even if it's not for some whatever reason, then it's not that bad if I were to face repercussions. It seems like in support or in school systems, there's a lot of support for staff, and that you're not alone when you're working. You're part of a teaching team. You're not an individual, so you'll always have people to kind of work together with and fall back on. If you don't know something, then you can always go talk about someone who might, or they might refer you, or you work it out together. So, yeah, it's about addressing the discomfort and becoming the imperfect accomplice for the sake of maintaining and probably developing like a really inclusive educational environment. Yep. So that's all for this episode of R&R, and we'll move on probably a couple more. We'll see. But there's definitely going to be at least one more after this. And that's it for this one.